I'm Claire Dooley. You're watching CHGTV, and this is the Geoengineering Report, where we identify the threat in the skies. So, there are some new policies that now frame forest thinning and logging as climate solutions, but is cutting down trees really saving the planet? In this episode, we unpack how misguided environmental strategies may be playing right into a deeper agenda. Our expert Dane reveals how engineered drought, desiccant particulates, and manipulated burns are driving the loss of forest ecosystems, not saving them.
Controlled burns keep carbon stored in trees, reducing greenhouse gas emissions.
Yeah, there's a lot of false narrative in that arena too. So when we had the former Trump administration official that toured here in Reading, for example, after some of the big fires we had here, and the narrative was, and I'm not blaming the Trump administration, the Biden administration, they're all the same. It doesn't matter the political stripe. But when we have this narrative being pushed by certain demographics that the reason the forests are burning, and it's being pushed by this administration hard, by the way, because they've opened up our national parks for logging. Did you know that?
No.
50% of the national parks are now open for commercial logging. Is that not, where's the outrage in that? So we have this narrative being pushed right now harder than ever that the reason the forests are burning is because we're not cutting down enough trees. That is absolutely ludicrous. The trees are what allows us to live here on the planet. I mean, with no trees, no people, period. This narrative, again, that we're not cutting down enough and that's why the fires are burning, that is a blatant, glaring lie. It's being pushed by this administration as it has from other administrations, being pushed harder now than ever. The forests are burning. The single greatest cause for the forest incinerations is climate engineering, period. And again, this is documented in great detail at geoengineeringwatch.org under the engineering wildfire section. So they can and are cutting off precipitation to huge swaths of land. They're drying out that land because these particles are desiccant particles. They absorb all atmospheric moisture. There's no dew in the morning. Polly, do you see dew in the morning where you live? Because we sure as hell don't see it here. Maybe right after a rainstorm, but that's just a thing of the past now. Yeah. We don't have any atmospheric moisture settling down because it's being dried up from desiccant particles. The destroyed ozone layer is also diminishing the evaporative cycle. We have these particles are incendiaries. As I stated earlier, they're settling down on forest foliage, the forest floor. From every conceivable direction, the single biggest factor for the forest incinerations and Palisades and Lahaina, climate engineering, period. And they're blaming it on not cutting down enough trees. It's absolutely ludicrous. So for people that buy that, and my dad was an arborist. I know a lot about trees. I've done 6 habitat restoration projects in the forests of Northern California. I ran every single one. That's 3 state, 3 federal. I know a fair bit about forestry. And again, people adopt a narrative, they parrot it out, they don't know what they're talking about. It's just like the certain demographics that parrot vaccines are safe and effective. They don't know anything about what they're speaking about. Couldn't be further from the truth, but they parrot that narrative and they believe it. Same is true with the forest incinerations. When people pretend that they're all burning just because we're not cutting down enough trees, it's ludicrous. And again, I'm asking people to actually research, to consider that from every conceivable direction, climate engineering is pounding the nails into our collective coffins. And I mean every direction. Polly, have you heard the warnings from official sources that how vulnerable we are now to, for example, a solar flare or a CME, that it could shut down power grids and internet? Have you heard that?
Yes.
Even there, climate engineering core, because it's destroying the protective layers of the atmosphere, making us much more vulnerable to a CME or a solar flare. And again, and they can and likely will blame a CME or solar flare for an EMP attack, in which when they're ready to take down our communications, they will, and there's already headlines that fit exactly into this category. Be alarmed that there's likely coming some solar flare, EMP, or I recently saw a headline on asteroid activity as well, that they, these headlines are ludicrous, and that that's our greatest fear. Our greatest fear is ourselves. Human race is not going to survive itself on the current course, but they can and likely will at some point trigger an EMP attack and blame it on a solar flare. So again, and if we do have a significant solar flare because the atmosphere has been so damaged and we have a Carrington-sized event, that's a big event that happened in the 1800s, and that shuts down grids around the globe, and the nuclear power plants can't cool themselves, now we have, again, Fukushima times several hundred, game over. So from every conceivable direction, from the air we breathe, the food we eat, the water we drink, the oxygen we need to breathe, because climate engineering is destroying the forests, destroying the plankton, so our oxygen content is plummeting. I don't know if you know anybody who says they have trouble breathing lately. It's not just the particulate matter that's in the air that's highly inflammatory, but O2 is going down as well. Oxygen is going down also from all of the above. Climate engineering inseparable from all of it.
We love hearing from you at CHGTV. We always are going through your emails and, sending them to each other and discussing the pictures you're sending and, whatever comments you're making. So please continue doing so. You can reach out to us at goodmorning@chg.tv. Thank you so much for watching.